Welcome back to another Updates with the City Manager. I'm Shelby Quinlivan, your Communications Manager, and this is Jim Palenick, our City Manager. And boy, did we have quite the meeting last night.
Last night and this morning.
And this morning,
Exactly.
It went into this morning. I think the longest, it might be a record for council.
I think the first time that we had a city council on actually 2 dates, the 5th and the 6th.
And the 6th,
so,
yes.
Yeah.
So obviously, what everybody's talking about is the riverfront development, the Hollywood land that was in presentation mode yesterday. And we also did a presentation about the budget for non-public safety. So we had a lot to talk about in general yesterday, but what everybody's wondering, and I'm sure everybody still has questions about, is this Hollywood land riverfront development. So can you give us just a brief synopsis of how this started, where it's going, and what this could mean for Middletown?
Yeah, and we've talked about this a couple times in doing some of these videos in the past. I think the public has seen us. We've actually had the developer on with us. We didn't get into the real specifics or the terms yet at the time, but we foreshadowed obviously that this project was being worked on and what it looked like and that it would be substantive. And of course, when people heard about it last night, obviously it is very substantive. It's got a name now. It's Hollywood land, and it really is a destination entertainment venue and district quite unlike anything else in the United States. It's never been done before. Location-based entertainment, basically. The creation of a brand new industry. So the idea is this group of developers would be partnering with the city to develop a little bit over 50 plus acres along our riverfront in the downtown, immediately adjacent to our downtown, in a development that will be titled Hollywood Land, designed to attract about 3.5 million visitors a year, to an entity that will include a full-service destination, first-class hotel and convention center, another water park hotel, a boutique hotel, a themed indoor virtual reality and immersive entertainment park dubbed Hollywood Land that will in effect recreate a series of almost backlots like Hollywood would do, where you can be entertained, take yourself into a completely different world, see different kinds of entertainment things, and actually interact with the television, streaming, motion picture industry, because there will also be the opportunity for motion picture sound stages on this site. There will be themed restaurants, retail, cafes. So it is sort of bringing all these things tied to entertainment together, as well as a national and internationally recognized venue for concerts, for Broadway plays, for big sporting events, things like that. So you sort of start thinking about all things entertainment, particularly those tied to Hollywood, the concept of Hollywood, what they do in the world of fantasy. I think many people are familiar with sort of Universal Studios and some of the things like that on a large sort of outdoor scale with multiple buildings. This brings some of those concepts together on an indoor scale so that it is free from weather changes, where it can alter lighting to make it appear at anything at any given day. And it's really almost hard for me to describe without seeing this complete package. But they have some of the world's best folks when it comes to the design things that come into play on this. And of course, obviously, the question is, why does this work? Why could it come to Middletown? Why would so many people come to this? And the idea is Middletown is blessed with one thing that just happens to be, we didn't create it, but it works really well for this project. And that is, within a 2.5 to 3 hour drive time, there are 18 million people who live.
Wow.
So we talk about Lexington and Louisville and Cincinnati and Indianapolis and Dayton and Columbus, all the way up to Toledo and everything in and around that area. That's quite remarkable when you say people now in 2.5 to 3 hours can drive to this site in Middletown. We also have these opportunities through a series of incentives that the state of Ohio have made available to us that we've very creatively structured to make the project itself pay for much of this. And then on top of that, we've had the American Rescue Plan Act funds come to the city and allow us to sort of create this equity jumpstart that avoids us having to use the taxpayers' funds. These are actually federal dollars that came to us. So because of all those things, we have really limited risk in our case, but an incredible opportunity for reward. So that's the great thing about the financial structure. So we're really excited about it. We can't wait to tell the community more. We would love to meet with members of the community, explain this better, answer some of those questions. So again, it's the kind of transformative opportunity that this community or any community hasn't seen in a generation, in a lifetime.
Yeah.
So you have to really look seriously at that, given the economic magnitude that this could have. Thousands of jobs, investment in the billions, spin-off effect to other small businesses throughout the community.
Right.
The opportunity to really transform us in a way that, more than anything, allows this community to start to generate the recurring revenues that we need to better support our police and fire and parks and make the community better, support our schools, support our health services, all the things that make a high-quality community. They come from economic development. And this is the kind of transformative economic development that simply doesn't come along.
Yeah.
And more than anything, people should know is anybody and everybody in that same region that say they could be within 3 hours of 18 million people, those communities, those jurisdictions, they want this very badly. Mm-hmm. They will give a whole lot more than we have. If we're not prepared to approve it, I guarantee you in an instant, someone else will.
Yeah.
It is coming to Ohio. We've done everything in our power to bring it to Middletown, to keep it in Middletown, but it absolutely is coming to Ohio.
Okay, so as far as the community involvement is concerned, I know that was mentioned last night and mentioned just now. So how would we be involving, I know especially in Main Street will be impacted, that neighborhood. So how will that happen in the future, and what are we looking at that?
Yeah, our goal has always been, once the actual terms of this got put together, we understand what it looked like and that the land acquisition was in place, which we can say now has happened, mm-hmm. that we would do some outreach to the public, particularly the surrounding neighborhoods, answer all those questions, let them know what's going on, work with them closely to make certain that as this 3.5 to 4 year process would move forward in getting this done, that we do everything power to limit their disruption and to actually improve on the circumstances that exist there. Yeah. So that if there are traffic concerns, if there are noise concerns, the design happens consistent with those concerns. That we take that into consideration, that we design the best possible project that still works economically mm-hmm. in the manner that it has to, and that works with the folks that obviously are in and around this development.
Yeah. So these were renderings that we were given out to the public yesterday, mm-hmm. and we saw a lot of presentation, a lot of pretty pictures, a lot of what could be. So there could be some adjustments. So this first agreement does not solidify everything that is going to happen as far as this is exactly what it's going to look like. Yeah.
Particularly with regard to the exterior design.
Right.
We know what the interior has to contain. Mm-hmm. It only works if it does that. It can look different on the outside. Yeah. So particularly the way that it fronts and the way it pays homage to and the way that it comports itself with Main Street specifically. Right. Those are things that can be altered. So the design. Yeah. One of the developers is very much a historic preservationist, has mm-hmm. been involved in that for years. He committed last night as part of the presentation to say, not only does he want to make certain that that is incorporated here, that he really respects that, but he would be willing not only to have a kind of advisory committee from the community, but he would head that up. He would get it started almost immediately after this gets approved. Okay. So there's a real concern to be sensitive, to care about those things, but at the same time recognizing it has to be 1.5 million to 2 million square feet. Mm-hmm. It has to contain the things that we've said it has to contain in order to work. But given that, there are ways, obviously, to deal with it in a way that doesn't necessarily cause harm or disruption to the areas around it.
Yeah. So all of this information, as far as going back to March when we first did a feasibility study agreement, is online. We have a web page now dedicated for the riverfront development. So all of these things. A lot of information, a lot of stuff to look through. We have a 3-ish hour presentation from last night.
And I would note also that going all the way back to the very beginning of the year, we did our strategic planning retreat with the mayor and city council. Right. And they heard from the developers about this project in pretty good detail at that time. Yeah. So we've been working closely with the city council, the full city council, including the mayor and all members, to talk about this development. They've understood it at every point in time. We've taken them through the process, the iterative process of developing it over time, what the terms would look like, the limiting of risk to the city, the way the financial structuring comes together. So this becomes the culmination of it. And this is the way these projects have to work. This has finally come to the point that we can bring it to final approval. We're just very excited about the prospect that it has for our community.
Yeah. So obviously, this is not up for a vote yet. This will come to the next second city council
Thursday,
meeting.
the October 21st.
So we have special meeting of city council, which will happen on the 21st. We will have a regular meeting on the 19th with a lot of other legislation. But in order to have Jim and some other key staff members at the meeting, because of some scheduling, we will be having a special meeting on Thursday, the 21st, that will take care of the public safety budget presentation, as well as the follow-up of this riverfront development and the vote on that. So it'll be a busy week.
I want to sort of cover something you hinted at there, which is we're changing this meeting to the 21st because some staff and some of the people that we've hired to work with us on this wouldn't be available on the 19th. And that brings to mind the fact is, from the very inception of this, we have hired, we have worked with, we have consulted with what I will call the absolute dream team of Ohio professionals and skilled individuals who have the utmost understanding and skill and experience when it comes to large-scale successful economic development. From our economic development attorney to our financial consultant to our regular attorney to all the folks that have worked on this along with our city staff. These are the best there are. These folks know this stuff better than anybody else. They've been with us since the inception. They have constantly looked out and structured this in a manner that fits the best possible interest of the city. So if this project doesn't work in the configuration that we've done it, I guarantee you it won't work anywhere. So I'm very comfortable with this. I'm putting my personal credibility on the line. I am completely supportive of it. I believe that it will work. It is going to work. We just have to be willing to take that bold step to say, yes, we are ready to change. We are ready to take Middletown into a brand new century and turn it into something that is transformative forever and much better than what we've seen in the past.
Yeah. So just to tell the public, after this agreement, if it passes, what would be the next step? What would be next?
Then we go into the hard work, which is due diligence efforts of significant design, the creation of actual construction drawings, turning those construction drawings into solid enough detail that in turn you can get a guaranteed maximum price for this project. That guaranteed maximum price then solidifies the final costing. The final costing allows us to get the final financing. They go to the market, they get the equity, they get the debt. The financing closes. The closing then is simultaneously with the closing of the various properties that have to be added to this project. All of that happens over the next 10 to 12 to 15 months. And then thereafter, a large-scale effort to construct this, and all of that finalizing itself and happening within the time frame that would conclude about the end of 2024.
Okay, so if it passes, then we would be moving forward with all of those things, and 2024, end of 2024 is when we would be expecting this to be launching.
The other thing, and this is a critical part of this agreement that the council is entertaining, in addition to all of this coming together on that time frame and being subject to financing getting put in place, what is not subject to that financing is these developers have committed to, at the onset, early on in this process, if it's approved, to begin the process of redeveloping the First National Bank building as a boutique hotel and developing at least one themed sports bar restaurant along Main Street during this time frame. So there is significant investment on the order of $20 million that would be done at the outset before the final big project happens.
So those two things would happen almost immediately once this would be approved.
Would begin, yes, relatively early on in this process after it gets approved.
Okay.
But of course, same thing, there's design work, there's other things that have to happen. You're not going to see anything immediately, but the effort would begin.
Okay. So like I said, there's a lot of information about this on our website, cityofmiddletown.org, and I encourage you all to look through all of that information, get acquainted with everything that's out there, and if you have questions, we are available. You can email Jim. I'll put that in on the link. So we're encouraged about this. We are looking forward to something that could be monumental for Middletown and transformational. So stay tuned, Middletown. We will keep you posted.
And the other thing is, we can't end yet because I need to let everybody know this isn't the only thing we're working on.
Right,
We
absolutely
have
not.
multiple other really large-scale, high-quality, transformative projects underway. The town mall redevelopment, which is going exceptionally well. The State Route 4 corridor Oakland neighborhood revitalization, again, going exceptionally well, going as planned and even quicker than planned. A series of other high-quality developments we can't even talk about yet, but that are going well. This community is on the precipice of really great things.
Absolutely.
We have to keep the momentum going. We have to recognize that we're not neglecting anything else because of this, but rather we've had an opportunity because of some of the resources that have come to us to strategically place them in ways so that we'll be able to get a series of things done. And in getting those series of things done, we will be able to ultimately now provide much better services, much more amenities to the community, because the resources will exist to do it. But they don't exist until you get these projects done.
Absolutely.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you, Middletown.
Very busy over here. Thank you, Middletown.